let's bring in Chris Sims, the popular Chris Sims, the much talked about Chris Sims, Pro Football Talk Live co-host, former NFL quarterback. By the way, if you're going to put out a sizzle reel of all your great predictions, I just let me know, because it's basically every appearance that you make on this show, okay?
Well, you're right. I mean, well, that's why you're the man. That's why we're best buddies. You know, you've always given me love and let me talk about these subjects, and it's not just one answer and we move on. We get to deep dive into it, and that's why you're a legend in my book there, big guy.
All right, how did you prepare this list of your top quarterbacks? And I was curious about the list, because I don't think you go into detail of how many are going to be taken in the first round.
Right. Well, I think legitimately the one in my list, just so everybody is out there, and listen, if you want to hear my breakdown of everything, my Chris Sims Unbuttoned podcast, I did an 1.5-hour podcast where I really got into the nitty gritty stuff, right? But I legitimately look at all the 6 guys, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, Taylor Mond, Justin Fields, and Trey Lance, as having elite traits and being first-round type talents. Trey Lance is the guy I look at that could be the one who doesn't get into the first round, and not because of his talent, but it is still raw. He didn't play football last year. The year before that, it was, a controlled environment where there's a lot of games he only throws the ball 15, 18 times. So I think that could scare people altogether, but I think legitimately my top 5 could all be first round picks.
What does Zach Wilson do better than Trevor Lawrence?
Zach Wilson, I'm blown away by Zach Wilson, Dan. I look at it and say this is an Aaron Rodgers, a Patrick Mahomes, a Brett Favre-ish type guy. One, he's a more consistent bullseye, dead-eye thrower. I mean that with, and I love Trevor Lawrence. He's worthy of the number 1 pick. I know I'm getting a lot of crap about that. I'm not trying to make this about, he's not good. There's a lot to love about him. But Zach Wilson, it's just every ball is a perfect spiral on the money. All the plays that are there to be had for easy completions, he really never misses. And then it's the plays when there's nothing there that he is really special and able to create and buy time and make unbelievable plays with his arm and his ability to deliver the ball in magician-like ways like a Mahomes or an Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I still go back to the Coastal Carolina game. I know it's only one game, but what I saw was somebody who got really frustrated, didn't hold his composure whatsoever, and really Coastal Carolina's defense really got into his head. You're not going against Alabama here.
I know.
And he let Coastal Carolina get into his head, and I always want to see what the quarterback does after he's thrown the interception, after you've been sacked.
Sure.
That was the one thing that stood out with Zach Wilson this past year. He's extremely talented, but that bothered me, Chris.
I hear you. He's got tremendous passion. I always watch the worst game. And I'll say is, damn, if that's his worst game, holy cow. There was some unreal throws where I just go, listen, there's not a lot of people on the planet that can do some of that. Now, they had a good defensive game plan. He wasn't totally on his A game. There's no doubt about that. And, I don't mind the passion aspect of it and all of that. And then, again, I don't know all of those things behind the scenes. I'm just trying to evaluate what I see on the football field. And even in that game, which was his worst game of the year, it still was really damn good. He made some throws that they had some drops in the game and all of that. And, I understand it's Coastal Carolina and all of that. It's not Alabama. But he also doesn't have Clemson and Alabama's offense and things to help him out the same way, too. We have to remember that. The competition thing, I hear that a lot. It's not the same competition. Well, I understand that. But Trevor Lawrence got to step on the field in every game in the ACC, and they were clearly the better team. It's not even close. So there is some benefits to having that as well. And throwing into tight coverages or throwing under pressure, I don't really care what level that is. Oh, he's open by an inch. Man, the guy hits the target. Oh, it's a tight window. He hits the target. And he'll adjust according to, yes, the speed might be different in the NFL. Of course, it'll be greater and all those things. But, Phil Simms, the Josh Allens, The Joe Flaccos, the Terry Bradshaws of the world, they came from schools like that and ended up doing okay. So I don't go too crazy with that aspect all the time.
What is Trevor Lawrence missing?
To me, it's just some refining for me. And again, I expect Trevor Lawrence to be the number one pick. I don't think he's better than Zach Wilson, but with Jacksonville, Urban Meyer, he runs a collegey type offense. I could see, it's a great fit. Let alone Trevor Lawrence in that region of the country, we know he's a big deal. He's a big deal altogether. But I think it's more of just the consistency of throwing that I looked at, Dan, that I didn't expect to see. As I turned the film on, I knew I was going to see a lot of awesome plays and all of that, and I really like Trevor Lawrence again. But there were more missed throws and errant throws than I expected to see as I started to go through it. And of course, hey, his team is really good, and they have a special way of calling a game where you got to worry about a screen to ATN, and you got to worry about a screen to receiver, and then they fake that, and there's somebody wide open down the middle of the field. He's awesome prospect, like I said, definitely worthy of the number one pick. I just think Zach Wilson's a ready to go NFL system superstar right now.
You weren't all in on Sam Darnold being the number one quarterback or, even the second quarterback off the board. Here are the Jets at number 2. Is this a no-brainer? Zach Wilson's right there for you. Is this a no-brainer in your opinion?
For Chris Sims, it is. I still believe in Sam Darnold and that he could be a successful NFL quarterback. As I always say to Mike Floria, when you're surrounded by crap, you're going to get some crap on you every now and then and smell like crap. I mean, that's just the way it is. So it hasn't always been easy for him. I do think he'll fit that Mike LaFleur Shanahan system and be able to thrive in that. But I look at Zach Wilson and go, he is the perfect fit for that system. He can be Aaron Rodgers, what you're seeing to Matt LaFleur in Green Bay right now. Unbelievable feet, quick release, really powerful arm, throws the ball on the run better than anybody in the draft. So he has all those things, and I just think, if I'm the Jets, that would be the guy I would go with, yes.
By the way, I hear great things about Mike LaFleur. He's Matt LaFleur's brother, and I hear great things about him. And some even hold him in higher regard than his brother, who is the head coach of the Green Bay Packers.
Well, he's the real deal. There's no question. My buddy Kyle Shanahan always speaks really highly of him. He's got a little different personality than his brother. Matt up there is a little bit more, quiet and reserved maybe compared to Matt. But I expect the Jets I'm a Joe Douglas fan. Of course, I'm a Robert Saleh fan. And with Matt LaFleur doing the offense, if they play this offseason right, they're sitting in a pretty position to where if they can turn this team around, then I'd be excited to see what they can do over the next 2 years.
He's Chris Sims, Pro Football Talk Live co-host, the former NFL quarterback. I had a scout say that it feels like the analysts are overthinking Justin Fields. Are we overthinking? Did you overthink Justin Fields?
I'll say this. I don't go into this with any preconceived notions. I'm a very casual college football watcher during the year. You know me. I'm all in on the NFL. I'm dissecting games and doing all of that to where I'm not going to sit down all day Saturday and watch every game. Justin Fields, again, has some elite traits. First off, he's built like Cam Newton, except he's two inches shorter. His running is better than I expected. You can legitimately have a running attack behind Justin Fields. His arm it's elite in as far as its power and his ability to make powerful throws, deep throws, and do all of that. But man, I think what scares me a little bit, Dan, is a lot of open spaces he's throwing to receivers. It's kind of a one-read guy, like, hey, this guy, he's not open, and then he looks to run. And sometimes if that first guy's not open, he can be a little careless with the ball with what he does after it. And ultimately, the thing that scared me more than anything was some of the games where his throwing kind of fell apart. It really fell apart. There is some true mechanical issues that need to be worked on for him to be a complete NFL passer. Again, the Final Four in football this year, it's the 4 best passers in the game. I mean, it's Brady, it's Rodgers, it's Josh Allen, it's Mahomes. The game is still about that. And that's to where to Justin Fields, it's going to come into, and I don't get this benefit, knowing the guy at his pro day. Can we see improvements on those things that, we see issues with on tape and all of that? But there's just too many errant throws. And out of the group I talked about, he's the worst short ball thrower out of the group too. I mean, it's 50-50 on shallow crosses and throws to the backs out of the backfield and all of that. So those are the things that kind of concern me. Again, I think he's a first-round talent. There's a lot of elite there, but that's just where I think it needs some work.
Are you all in on Dak Prescott?
Yes. I mean, Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback. I'm not going to say he's top 5, but I do believe he's a top 10 quarterback, and he has other intangibles that I think are special to leading a football team. So,
but if you were the GM, if you were
right.
Stephen Jones, what would you do with Dak Prescott right now?
I would sign him up. I would. Now
long
that's
term?
where I'm. Yeah,
broken ankle, long term, $40 million a year.
Yeah, that's where I don't worry about the ankle. I mean, that injury. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be 100% to start the year, but my history and knowledge of that kind of injury is, in this day and age, 2021, he's going to be okay. And, we saw how much they declined. He makes more plays than he gets credit for. It's not as sexy as some of the other quarterbacks as far as when he moves in the pocket and makes a 20-yard throw down the middle of the field. It doesn't look as cool as Mahomes and Josh Allen and those guys. But still, the results are there. To me, the thing that I don't know and where I'm confused about it a little bit is just, how much money is he asking for? I am one of those that's like, just because you're the next guy up on the contract doesn't mean you get to be the highest paid guy. And I love him. He's part of my Twitter page, the front thing there. I'm a big fan. But I also don't want to see him take a deal that, crushes his team, and then he can't be successful that way either. And I think that's where the problem lays there.
Well, the problem is you got a lot of guys who are overpaid, didn't live up to their contracts in Dallas, and now he'll get all the blame. If they aren't successful and they pay him that money, he's going to get blamed if Amari Cooper's not elite or that defense acts like it did this past year.
Right.
Would you trade for Russell Wilson if you're the Bears or the Saints, the Cowboys, or the Raiders? Out of those 4 teams, who should?
I look at the Bears as being the team that needs to make a move. I mean, I can't get behind, like, we're going to go with Nick Foles as a starting quarterback. I can't get behind that. And, even, of course, that doesn't look like they're going to bring back Mitchell Trubisky. But I think of all the teams where I just go, they need it to save their own jobs. Their defense is in a pretty good spot. Matt Nagy's never really had the quarterback he wants to run his system. Like, I could see them being the biggest players for Watson or Russell Wilson when all said and done. That's the team that jumps out to me. Now, of course, what are they going to get back for that and all of that? That's got to be worked out. But I just feel like Russell Wilson in Seattle is over. And, it's over either next year or right now. And it's just, does Seattle have the guts to make the move right now and say the hell with it and let's go on and try to build, for another year or two down the road?
If you're the Falcons GM, you got that number 4 pick. You got Matt Ryan. What do you do?
I'm going to ride Matt Ryan for a little bit longer. I am. Matt Ryan, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I think he's going to be, 35 or 36 this year? He's right there. I look at him and go, this day and age, with as long as the quarterbacks can play, they got a lot of issues and holes on their roster. I would go with Matt Ryan. Plus, I think he fits the system in which Arthur Smith is going to run, and what we saw in Tennessee with Ryan Tannehill, that he can really make it work. So I would go with Matt Ryan for a few more years, and maybe 2-3 years from now, you start to think about drafting that next quarterback.
I think Matt Ryan 36th turns 36 in the spring, Paulie.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Keep stirring it up, Chris. Did
you know me? I'm not here to stir it up. I have aspirations to be pro personnel, work in the NFL one day, maybe 10 years down the road.
Has anybody reached out to you about being in a front office?
I've had dabbles. I've had little dabbles and just people like, are you interested in this in the next few years and doing that? So
Did you send the sizzle reel, send your hype video from this show to this team?
well, my first interview, it's going to be a part of that. Whenever I get to that, I'm going to, I might bring you in with me so you can just be my hype man in the corner and we can work on that owner. But, I'm not here to this drives me crazy. People think I'm here to get clickbait and crap like that. I'm more into being right. I like to be right more than clickbait. I don't give a damn about social media. So I work at it, as you know. I'm not always right, but I've been right a good amount of times too, and we'll see where this goes.
The Dan Etzer over there cheering.
We
when
like
you were
it.
like, yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, I don't give a damn about social media.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy. Social media. I haven't looked really in the last 24 hours. I haven't.
I'm guessing Clemson fans are probably not going to be too kind to you.
Oh, I have heard, from the people who help me manage my social media, Clemson, Ohio State fans are pretty pissed off at me right now. Yes.
But you're huge in Utah.
Yeah, I bet you I am huge in Utah. You're right. Big time. I'm a star there all the way.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Dan. Be good, man.
That's Chris Sims, Pro Football Talk Live co-host, the former NFL quarterback, and his quarterbacking rankings certainly got some attention, that's for sure.